Most people think that money is about showing off the house you live in, the luxury vacations you take, and the cars you drive. How you can get the other people to notice your accomplishments. I have been there, where showing off is the way of life, lost and wondering why life was keep knocking me down. But the real wealth, God's kind of prosperity, doesn't seek approvals, likes, or begs for attention. Here's the secret that a seed knows that most of the people have no clue about it. True, rich you, real prosperous life are built when no one is watching, away from the noise, the likes, and the opinion of others. While everyone is seeking the world's validation, trying to prove to everyone that they're doing something, that they're worthy, flexing their possessions online, the richest people quietly grow in wisdom, bust through the mindset blocks, and root themselves in God, building a prosperous life. While the rest speak loudly about what they're about to do, looking for support, and when they don't get it, they stop and give up on their financial dreams, on their financial freedom. That's why today I'm revealing the 4 seed phases to grow in silence and become the prosperous you that God intended you to be. If you're new here, I'm Larisa, a Fortune 500 controller with years of experience in accounting and finance, a best-selling author to Destined for Wealth, which you can grab in the description below, with a degree in finance and an MBA from a top 20 business school in the world. But most importantly, a person called by God to be His vessel for His purpose and bring light to faith and finances. When others are quiet, discouraged by silence, you will keep going, building unshakable wealth. Because the moment you tell others, you invite doubters and naysayers in your life that project their own fears and insecurities on you and on your dreams. And you start questioning yourself, your dreams, and your financial freedom. If you are ready to step out of the noise and into your prosperous life, come in silence. Phase number 1, seed. Have you ever asked yourself, why am I going through this hard time in life, this darkness? Why is this happening to me? I have been a good person. I've done good things. Why me? Like you, I have asked myself these questions too during difficult moments in life. But after getting a few bumps on my head, I realized that not only I was looking at the life wrong, but I was also asking the wrong questions. When a seed is planted, it doesn't ask why. Why am I in darkness? Why am I buried in dirt? Why am I so wet? A seed is focused on how, not on why. How does it absorb the nutrients and the water? And most importantly, are you with me? Get closer and listen up, because this is very important. How does it break out of its original form and sprouts into something new? Did you catch this? How does it get out of the original shell and sprouts out to become something greater and bigger than itself? If you're getting this deep meaning, comment the word seed. I wasn't gonna accept anything less than getting a job with the top Fortune 500 energy company in the world. Besides the fact that I really wanted a job, I really needed a job, because my husband and I were renting a room at our friend's house and really needed the income. So I got my resume ready, bought a suit from Banana Republic, by the way, my favorite brand for professional clothes, and went to an event with hundreds of companies, tech, energy, consulting, you name it. Everyone was there. I was nervous, I was overwhelmed and lost. But then I took a breath, I filled myself with confidence. As a matter of fact, I would say overconfidence. And then I started conquering the floor with one conversation at a time. I started talking to the recruiters, and just 15 seconds later, they will hand me a pamphlet and say, go apply online. Some of those recruiters didn't even give me 15 seconds. It was less than that. Remember the time when you thought this is gonna go well, only for everything to go south and you feeling devastated, like a failure, questioning if you are worthy, if you are enough? That's how I felt. Not only was I questioning if I can get a job, but I was questioning if I am even going to get in a corporate world. Yes, I was buried in dirt, asking why. Why is this happening to me? Why are they not paying attention to me? Why they're only giving me a few seconds and sending me away? How many times have you felt buried in dirt, surrounded by darkness and see no way out? Asking, why is this happening to me? But the journey didn't end there. See, being buried in dirt and darkness in your life can be for a period of a week or a month or a year or a decade. And some people, their whole life, no one really knows what you're going through financially. The fears, the doubts, the worries, the disappointments, the pain. Nothing can be seen from the outside, but things in the dirt are changing when you focus from asking why to asking how. How can you observe the nutrients and the water? How can you shed the old money habits, the old financial shell, the old money mindset blocks to be reborn into a wealthy and prosperous person that God intended for you to be, to serve God? Those who focus on why me, get angry at life, at God, instead of learning from life. They get stuck in their old shell for years, and some never get out. Life gives us feedback, and if you don't like where you're at, then stop, take a deep breath, and start asking the right questions to change and to be reborn into the best version of yourself that God intended you to be. The voice inside of your head might say, you've tried, but it didn't work. Or the fear inside your chest might suck you in, saying, no, don't step out of your comfort zone. It's dangerous. You shouldn't invest your money because you might be losing money. You shouldn't buy your first rental property because you might lose money. Even people around you might say, you're a fool. What are you doing? When a seed is buried, it's silence. Nothing is happening above the ground. The change is happening in the dirt, in the darkness. And this is when people start projecting their insecurities and their fear onto your dreams, onto your financial freedom path. But make no mistake, you asking the right questions, you focusing on getting out of the old shell, you changing your money mindset blocks, you managing your money, you taking control of your money, you investing your money. It's what's working beneath the surface. It's what's taking and breaking that shell and sprouting in something bigger, better. If a seed refuses to take nutrients and absorb water, it dies. You, my friend, are not like those other people. You are taking actions. You are subscribed and follow this channel to grow in God's wisdom every day. And if you have signed up for the free money course below, showing you step by step how to take control of your money, manage and invest it, then you are ahead of 99% of people watching and listening to this message. Does a seed grow up or down first? If you said down, then you are right. Because phase number 2 is root. Have you ever seen a tree without roots withstand a storm? Have you seen any tree without roots bear fruit? Have you seen a tree without roots at all? It simply doesn't exist. At that job event, I literally stepped aside and started asking myself, how is it that people in front of me and behind me are having this engaged, long conversations with the recruiter, and some of them get an offer on the spot and I'm giving less than seconds? How do I need to talk to these recruiters? How do I bring the best in me to the conversations and onto the resume? And what do I need to change and break in myself to become the top candidate? I finally started to ask the right questions. And I understood that I was planted in darkness, in wetness, in dirt, that I needed to get out, shed that old shell so that I can become a new and better me. You are planted by God to be reborn in something better. You are planted by God to be transformed in the best version of yourself if you choose to ask the right questions, to absorb the knowledge and the guidance and God's way of managing and multiplying money, and taking actions so that you can become a greater, a more amazing person that you ever thought possible. Not only to shine bright in your life, but to shine bright in the life of those that God called you to impact, that would bear fruit above and beyond, overflow, not only for your life, but for your family life and for those that God has called you to serve. So I paid attention. I looked at the conversation. I leaned in and listened. I took notes. I came home and I did the research and I prayed and I asked for God for guidance. I practiced for a year and got stronger in God. For a whole year, I was a seed buried in darkness and dirt, with nothing happening above the ground, shedding my old habits, changing my mindset, filling in the gaps, upskilling where I need to upskill myself, and grow roots. By this time, we had to move and rent a room from a relative because it was half the price of our rent. This was a year of silence. And then I went to the same event with the same hundreds of companies, and this time I was prepared. I got pulled for the interview process, and then I was extended an offer. Yes, at the top Fortune 500 energy company. And I'm saying this not to boast about it. I'm saying this because if you do the things that you need to do, you let that shell break, you will grow roots in God, and your work, diligence, consistency will pay off. When you find yourself in difficult financial moments, regardless if you make $100,000 or $1 million, and you ask yourself the right questions, pray faithful prayers. And if you want to learn how to pray powerful prayers, I highly recommend you watch this amazing video. And when you take actions by investing in your financial education, by reading books to gain financial literacy, by seeking counsel, which the Bible calls us several times to seek counsel and wisdom from others. Just like the seed, you are growing roots to absorb water and nutrients, to absorb wisdom and knowledge. Only by breaking out of the old shell, breaking out of the old you, and growing roots in God, growing in His wisdom, trusting Him, even when nothing happens above the ground, you are growing strong beneath the ground. Life's dirt, through God, is working in you, with you. You are building unshakable wealth. You are rooting yourself in God's power. You're rooting yourself in God's strength. The further the roots of a tree, the bigger the storm it can withstand. The stronger and the bigger your roots are anchored in God, the more you can take onto this life. Not only the more challenges, but more responsibility that God will give you, because He trusts you to handle His possessions according to His will. You have grown so much in faith and built such an intimate relationship with Him that He's trusting you to handle big earthly possession. Just like there's no tree without roots, there is no truly lived life without being rooted in God. Any storm, any difficulty will knock you out. The saddest reality is, even though so many people are alive, they are dead because they're not rooted in God. They never let go of the old mindset blocks, old habits, no actions to break their outer shell to let the roots grow. If you are ready to let your roots grow, then come in the word roots. Once you are rooted in God, this is when phase 3 starts. You shoot. Do you remember the time when somebody told you not to do something? You did it anyway, and it worked. And then that same person turned around and told you, yeah, it worked this time, but eventually it's gonna fail. So stop now before it's too late. The funny thing is, they were right. It all depends on what you did. After the seed grows roots, it starts to swell up because it draws the water and the nutrients from the ground. And the shell becomes dry and it shrinks, and there's tension in there. This tension and pressure busts out the shell and shoots up the stem and the leaves. Just like the seed, once you root yourself in God, work on yourself to change your mindset, to start learning how to manage money, steward money, how to invest it, take action, learn financial literacy, you're gonna swell up and your old shell, old self is gonna feel tight and dry and pressure and tension, because you have gained God's knowledge, you have gained God's wisdom, you're filled with it. You understand that you are no longer that person, that you need to bust out of this shell and shoot above the ground. Let me be clear. When you start taking control of your money, when you start investing, and when you start paving that prosperous life, not only your old self is gonna get uncomfortable, but people around your old self are gonna get uncomfortable too. This quote resonated with me very deeply. Many good people around your old self want you to do better, but not better than them. That's why you have to surround yourself with people that bring the best in you, that support you and are proud of your success. And you do the same for them. Now let me ask you this. Did the seed shoot out a full-grown tree? No, it was a stem and some leaves. Very delicate. So delicate that someone can step on it or an animal can eat it. That's how you are. Whenever you are the seed that grew roots and sprouted up, you are still needing a lot of work before you become that tall, mighty tree. And that work is continually learning how to manage your money. It's continually removing those mindset blocks. It's continually improving and growing. That stem and leaves need, like your financial freedom journey, patience, care, and growth mindset to turn into a mighty tree that bears fruits. Can this gentle stem produce fruits as soon as it gets out of the ground? No, it's not ready for it. It's not strong enough. And even if you put an apple on it, it will crush it. Same with financial journey. You need to start with awareness of where you are at today. You need to start understanding that you need to grow roots in God, removing the mindset blocks, starting to take control and manage your money according to God's principles, according to God's commandments. And as you grow in that, you learn how to invest. And as you learn how to grow and invest and multiply God's possessions according to His will, according to His commandments, that tree, it's nurtured. That financial path, prosperity, is nurtured with patience, with care, to grow into a mighty and abundant, prosperous life and best you. And this never stops. It's a lifelong journey. The more the roots grow, the stronger your relationship with God is. The more the roots grow of a tree, the sturdier is the tree. And the thicker the trunk gets, the stronger the tree holds the branches and the fruits. This is a lifelong journey. The tree would never stop reaching the roots out, grabbing the nutrients and the water. It will not stop from thickening its trunk because it's meant to bear fruits for years and years to come. And so are you. Continually rooting in God, continually sharpening your financial literacy skills, managing multiply your money so you can produce fruits that will be for you and for others. And this brings me to phase number 4, fruit. Why does an apple tree produces more fruits than you could ever eat on your own? Why were we taught that having above and beyond of what we need, an overflow of what we can consume ourselves is bad, when even the law of nature that God created shows us differently? The apple tree produces above and beyond to feed many. And God doesn't stop only at one tree for the entire world. There are orchards of apple trees and peach trees and plum trees and you name it, all above and beyond, overflowing with fruits and provision to feed many. The tree is blessed to be a blessing. God wants you to be blessed above and beyond so you can be a blessing. When you take control of your money and invest it to multiply, you now have above and beyond to give, to be a blessing to others, to feed others. And guess what happens? You are now just like the tree, growing fruits, giving it to others, and others, just like the apple, has seeds inside. And now they can take that seed and they can multiply it. They can take that money, upskill themselves, get a better job, provide better for their family, invest, manage, and the cycle starts for them. And they do the same. You are called to impact lives beyond you could ever imagine. You need to get out of the shell. You need to let roots grow in God sprout and bear fruits for you and for others. Does an apple tree make noise when it sprouts, grows its trunk, its branches, and bears fruits? Does it make noises when it feeds others? No, it doesn't. It does all of these phases in silence. It speaks to its abundance and wealth by the amount of fruits it provides. You're managing your money and multiplying your money and giving that money speaks loudly and abundantly by the amount of fruits you give, by the amount of help, by the amount of money you give. And if you are honest with yourself and look at your life and ask yourself, how much fruit do I give? And what that shows about your abundance and your life, what that shows about your growth in these 4 phases. It is a tough pill to swallow. And it's something that I ask myself, and it's something that we should ask ourselves throughout our entire life. Remember, we don't give and we don't do all this to gain our way to heaven. It never was about this. We love our children unconditionally, and we do everything for our children not to get anything back. That's our earthly representation of love. We do these things of managing, multiplying, and supporting and serving God's people, not because we're trying to get medals from God, but because we love Him so much that we want another soul, another army of souls to experience God's love, God's goodness, God's grace, God's testimony of your life in theirs. After I got that job, life just begun. Now it was my turn to help those that are in my shoes so they can land a job where now they can provide for their family, now they can give, and they can make an impact. When I lived in that bedroom in our relative's home, I couldn't provide much. I was a burden in someone's house. How can I provide for others if I am a burden myself? I became a recruiter. I started volunteering at universities to teach people how to prepare themselves, how to bring the best in themselves. I did that for other people outside of universities. I do the same now by creating this channel and sharing my education, my life experiences, my book that I've wrote, which is a step-by-step how to manage, invest, multiply your money. That's what I'm here for. I'm here to support you on this journey, to lift you up so you can be a seed multiplier, produce the fruits that will plant other seeds so you can bring one soul at the time to God's love, guidance, joy, and peace. The people notice the fruitfulness of a tree by the size and the amount of its fruits, because they're a blessing to others. It speaks volumes through silence. It shows each painful phase that it went through by the size and the amount of fruits. In order to become the best version of itself, the mightiest and fruit-producing tree, it had to bust out of the old shell, experience growing pains, put up with drought, winds, storms, with each one of them becoming a ring in the tree's trunk. This is the beauty that your life grows through. Every single experience stays with you inside. Every single experience becomes your message. Your mess that you went through is your message. It's your testimony to speak about God's love in your life, God trusting you with more, with His possessions so you can handle them here on earth, God giving you the guidance and you seeking His wisdom and guidance to manage, multiply those possessions so you can advance His kingdom on earth, so you can bring heaven to earth and make it attractive to everyone you were called to serve and impact. A tree keeps growing and extending its roots. It never stops. It continues to strengthen its trunk, extend its branches so it can bear fruits year after year. Financial freedom and prosperity, it's a lifelong journey, so you can bear fruits year after year for you, your family, and those that you're called to impact. But most importantly, the tree produces millions and millions of seeds inside the fruits. Seeds that plant out orchards of other trees to produce even more. Growing yourself, busting out of that old shell to grow into a mighty fruit-producing tree so that you can produce the seeds and give abundantly so the rest produce orchards. And now imagine how heaven would look and how many of those people will see you there. That's what life is about. Life is about living it, and living it in such a way that it makes God attractive to everyone else. And when we go there, you see an army of people that you have impacting their life. If the seed would have never left out of the shell, would have never extended the root to absorb the nutrients and the water, to swell up and feel tension and uncomfortableness, it would have never became the mighty fruit-producing tree. If you don't leave behind your old self, you will never become the best version that God intended you to be. And it's a beautiful you, and it's a mighty you, and it's an impactful you, and it's such a joy to see it, live it with all its aches and pains. It is worth it. What are you waiting on? You have one life. Don't waste it.